In this age of new developments and AI and fancy new software and funky new editing tools, I think it's really easy to kind of forget that some of the best tools we have are the ones that have been around for ages and ages. And that sometimes we're overcomplicating it and all you need is just a really simple document to start writing in. Now, really quickly before we get into the rest of the video, hi, my name is Sarah. I published under the pen name Catherine Gray, and these are my 2 books that are currently out in the world. Technically, I have no qualifications for this video, but I always use Google Docs to write, and you know, I've been doing that for an awfully long time now, so I guess what I'm saying is my experience is time. My Google Drive is, well, I've had to buy more Google Drive storage because I didn't have any left because it was so used up with primarily Google Docs for all of my books and ideas that I've had over the years. And also I have a habit of going off on tangents, so let's just jump right back into the video. Actually, before we do, really quick, I know I mentioned AI in the very start of this video, but I would just like to say that I do not condone the use of generative AI in making books and writing novels and whatnot. So if you're one of those people, you can go away. This is for people who want to authentically write their books and are wondering how on earth they can do it using Google Docs. So let's get back into it. Here's how we're going to start. You're going to want 2 separate documents, well, to start with, but the bare bones of it is you want 2 documents. You want, number 1, the plan or outline document, and number 2, the draft document. And the reason I said 2 to start with is if you're writing a series, or even what I'm doing at the moment, which is interconnected standalones, you probably are going to want a 3rd document to kind of track how everything ties together and like outlines of like the whole series or whatnot. But for now, we're just writing 1 book, so let's just focus on these 2 documents. Now, number 1, the plan, outline, whatever you want to call it. The way that I tend to split this down, it doesn't matter what the genre is I start with ideas, and then I have characters, then I have plots, then I have world building, and then I have extra notes. Now, let's just really quickly get into why this kind of works for me. Obviously, this isn't necessarily going to work for everyone, and my documents change a little bit each time, but overall, this structure has always worked, and I think I've used it for the past, I want to say maybe 4 years, without fail, and it's worked for me for the 2 books that I've published. So number 1, ideas, and this is just kind of when your initial ideas are forming, and maybe you've got ideas for titles, maybe you've got like a blurb in your head, or maybe it's even just like one scene that you can picture or one line that you want to be in the book. That's the sort of stuff that goes in the ideas section. It's just like these very initial thoughts. It's like the little embryo of this book. And usually I kind of leave that be once the initial things have just been kind of thrown into the ideas. Normally I don't really come back to it because that's what the notes section is for, but I'll get into that in a second. The second one, we have characters. You can do this in multiple different ways. Normally for me, the easiest way is just listing them out and then putting bullet points underneath with all of the information about them. But you know, you could use tables, you could use pictures, you could link to Pinterest boards, anything that works for you, but obviously it's very important to know your characters. Next, I have plot, and what I usually do is I'm quite heavy on the planning side of books. I usually write out the initial idea of the plot, and then I kind of expand it, and then I'll write it out into a table where I have the chapter number, what happens, and then any other details that are important, which is usually like a date or time or location, or even it could be point of view if you have more than one character POV. Then I have world building, no matter whether it's like a high fantasy with a completely new world or it's just built into your favorite city in the UK, you know, you've got to have some aspect of world building. You've got to know where your book is set. And then finally I have notes. This is usually for kind of ideas of like maybe scenes that as I go through the book, maybe scenes that I want to add in, or certain lines that I want to have in, certain dialogue I want to add in, or just kind of anything that didn't really fit anywhere else, but you just don't want to forget the idea. Now you're probably thinking you could just add that in the ideas, and yeah, to be honest, you could probably mix ideas with notes. For some reason, I've always had ideas as just like the initial stuff thrown down, and then kind of forget about it and move on to the rest of the document. But you know, whatever works for you. Either way, I think it's very important to have that kind of characters, plot and world building, and then any other notes that you want. Now, the thing that you all came here for, the draft document, to be honest, do not have a whole lot to say about this because you can go about this however you want. That is the beauty of Google Docs or even Word, which I know is very, very similar, is that you can just do it however you want. You can write however you want. Personally, I don't really write chronologically anymore. I think a long time ago when I forced myself to write chronologically, it was my biggest writing block. It was the biggest thing that kind of stopped me from writing books. It slowed me down a lot. And when I discovered that, you know that scene in your head that's like a couple of chapters from the end of the book, but you're thinking, oh God, I've got to write the rest of the book before I can write that. Turns out you don't have to do that. You could just write the scene that's been in your head for all of this time. And honestly, that was a big game changer for me. This was a long, long time ago now, but I think when people ask me for writing tips, this is the #1 go-to thing that I say, because I think a lot of people just kind of don't realize, and lots of people, and I mean lots, get stuck on first drafts because of this. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let me tell you a bit about kind of how I go about it. Normally, I kind of write out all of my chapters, let's say 1 to 30. I write them out so that because I don't write chronologically, I can just kind of go in, dip in and out of all of these chapters and just kind of write whatever I want in whatever chapter. Sometimes to help me out, if I don't want to be switching between the draft document and the plan document, I'll kind of take my bullet points of what goes in the chapter, dump them into maybe a comment in the Google Doc for the draft, and then I don't have to kind of leave to go and check what's meant to be going on in that chapter. I can just write and go again in and out of all of these chapters. What I love about Google Docs is if you format your chapter titles as titles, they'll appear in that little side column on the left of the document, and then that's how you can kind of navigate between them. I absolutely love that feature. Another feature that I love is the word count, especially because you can turn it off. Usually, probably like 98% of the time, I write with my word count on because, I don't know, that's just how I kind of think about my goals and how far I'm getting and like how quickly I'm writing. Sometimes I want to know. But you know, sometimes if you're not writing for a goal like that, you're just writing for you and peace of mind, it can be really nice to turn that off, and it is automatically turned off, which is nice. Formatting for bold, underline, italics, adding in tables, all of these sort of features that you'd expect and that you find in Word. Let's say you're coming over from Word into Google Docs. Super, super easy to use, just as you would expect them to. I think this is kind of really honing in on what I was saying at the start of this video, is that Google Docs is just so simple to use and it's so user-friendly, and I think that's why I'll probably just never stop using it. I have, of course, considered using some of these fancier tools. What's that really popular? Scrivener? Is that the name? That really popular one that's like, it's paid for. It's specifically for writing novels, so it has a load of tools. I've just never been interested because I think everything you could possibly need to write a book is available in Google Docs. And now you're thinking, well, you've laid it out super easily for us. Thank you so much, Sarah. And I would say, you're welcome. And then you would say, but now what? I've written my book. How can I use Docs as a kind of editing tool? One tip I would like to add here is what I usually do is when I start a whole new draft, just start a whole new doc. And it depends on how you work, but you know, if you copy the whole thing and then make edits, you can do that. You can duplicate it or make a copy or whatever the feature is called, and then just start editing straight away. Or, you know, you can have a completely fresh doc and rewrite. However you work is fine. But I do think it's great to be able to have those separate documents and so easily available to you in your Drive. Obviously there's the commenting/reviewing feature. I can't really remember what it's called right now, but you know, where you can give people access to your document and you can let people either just comment or you can let people edit. And this has been super, super helpful for when I've been sending off documents to both beta readers and advanced reader copies sometimes. For beta readers, I think I usually let them edit because it's normally people I trust, so they're not gonna go like deleting the whole document or whatever. And then I've sent out, I think it was for it was for my first novel, my debut. I sent out advanced reader copies in Docs, and I let people leave comments just because I wanted to like hear their initial thoughts. So yeah, I gave them the settings where you can leave comments, and I just love that kind of versatility where, you know, anyone can access this document because it's, again, it's like free, it's completely free. It's not like Scrivener or a paid application where, you know, you can only access it locally on your computer, no one else can like leave edits or whatnot. Which reminds me, another great point, which is why I love Google Docs, is it's not local, so you can access it from whatever device as long as you're logged into your Google account. Because every now and then I want to write something on my phone and I don't want to open it up in Notes, because if I write something in Notes, it will get lost in there, and I want to just write it straight into the document. I can, because I'm logged in on my phone. And then I have my laptop, and I also have my PC. Some of you might have iPads, all this different technology and whatnot. You might want to go to the library and work on a computer in the library. You can do, because all you need is to be able to log into your Google account. Anyway, you've gone through all of these drafts, through the final draft, you've sent it off to editors, you've received feedback and you've edited on their feedback. Now what? I did kind of touch on this earlier, but one reason why I love Google Docs too is it's just great for formatting. You know, you can do, what are they called? All the indenting, all of the margins, all of the page numbers, different fonts. Google Docs has got it all. And I think that is a pretty good way to sum up this video. I feel like I may be getting some Google Docs haters in the comments, and that is okay. I know there is a lot of criticism for Google Docs, and I know some people have some cons on why they prefer other things and whatnot, and that is absolutely fine. This is just my opinion. I love using Google Docs. It's super easy, it's my absolute favorite, and I just kind of wanted to share the process and a little bit of my knowledge on it in case anyone is maybe moving over to Google Docs, or they just want to know a bit more about what they're currently using and if they're not using it to its full capabilities. So yeah, I hope you guys got something out of this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed my little yapping session. But that's going to be all for today. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you in my next video.